What's up? It's Bobby G here, along with my buddy Jeff Osborne, the man behind the hook and shoot, the man you have heard on the radio many times with me, the voice. Not to be confused with Michael Chavello, you know, the dude from New Zealand or whatever, the voice. This is the voice here in Evansville for MMA. How you doing, Jeff?
Pretty good.
Good. And Jeff is with me today to talk about, to kind of give a preview and our predictions for UFC 170, which is tomorrow night on pay-per-view. And I think Jeff is going to join me from now on before a pay-per-view or even like a UFC on Fox, one of the big fights, to talk about this. Because as much as I enjoy it and as much as I think I know about it, this guy right here is, I would call you an expert in the world of MMA.
I guess so.
I mean, you know, you've trained in MMA. Have you fought MMA?
Yeah.
He's been on UFC pay-per-views himself doing commentary, and he is the guy who started the hook and shoot 20 years ago? Almost 20 years.
Be next year. The only thing I haven't done is be a ring girl. Not in a hurry. Not in a hurry.
You got to work on your calves a little bit to do that. But this guy knows what he's talking about, so I think he can add some credibility to this whole thing. And so let's just give a quick preview of the fight on Saturday night. What do you think of this card they've got lined up?
Anytime Ronda Rousey fights, I'm gonna buy the show.
Yeah.
I had a heart change of her. You know, I'm a big Misha fan.
Mm-hmm.
Reality TV can put a lot of pressure on you to overact or amplify your personality, and I think we're probably going to read about Ronda killing one of her boyfriends.
Yes.
3 or 4
She's
or 5
a scary
years.
chick.
She went overboard, but you know, it works for her. She's the heel, she's the bad guy or bad girl, and I'll pay to see her fight every time. Yeah,
last time you were on the radio with me was we were talking about her fight with Misha. I mean, Ronda's going on very short rest, really, in the as far as fighters go. And we were pulling for Misha because we liked her. She's a nice person. But Ronda proved she could go 3 rounds and still get the job done. So we'll talk about her fight specifically here in a little bit. That is the main event of the card. Ronda defending her bantamweight 135ers.
Yeah,
that's whatever that weight class is. The card did take a little bit of a hit a few days ago when Rashad Evans had to pull out with a knee injury.
Right.
They picked some relatively no-name guy, Patrick Cummins, to fight Daniel Cormier. They have history, but I don't know if that's going to be an exciting fight or not. It's going to be the co-main event of the night. And the first fight I want to talk about as far as our predictions is the third fight into the card, which is Rory MacDonald versus Demian Maia, number 4 versus number 6 in the UFC welterweight division. Just kind of quickly, give me your thoughts on this fight here.
You know, it's going to be one of those traditional striker grapplers. Maia, clearly a dominator on the ground, and MacDonald's a heavy hitter.
He is.
I see this one, it's going to hit the ground, but before it hits the ground, Maia's face is going to get hit. So,
you would think. Now, having said that, Rory MacDonald came into the UFC and he ran through people. He destroyed Nate Diaz, Mike Pyle. He destroyed Che Mills in the first round. And he was like this scary, exciting, dynamic striker, thinking this guy eventually he's gonna be fighting for the belt.
Right.
Last couple fights though, it's like he's become a different fighter. You know, that fight with Jake Ellenberger I thought was gonna be fight of the decade, and I about fell asleep watching it. His fight against Robbie Lawler, another one of these things where it's like he's holding back, and
it ended up costing him.
He's coming off his first loss. He lost to Robbie Lawler. He's coming off his first loss in like 3 years. Do you think, taking that into consideration, and also the fact that GSP is no longer in that division, you think any of that's going to play on his mind? Maybe he's going to be a little bit more aggressive this time around?
I would think so. After you lose a split decision, I think you're always more driven the next fight to take a bigger risk.
Yeah.
Because you cannot leave it up to the judges.
That's what they always say, and it's true, because you never know what they're going to see.
I used to joke about some of the judges. Cecil Peoples gets a bad rap. I always said, he pre-makes his scorecard out before the fight starts.
Yeah.
But, that doesn't happen anymore. But there are judges who just aren't educated on what these guys are doing.
Right.
And you go state to state, and they pick those judges. And I think he left it up to the judges last time, and he paid for it.
Yeah.
Take a risk.
And Demian Maia, he's a guy that came into the UFC, and his first 5 fights were won by stunning, brilliant submissions. And he started out as a middleweight. He fought Anderson. He lost Anderson to Anderson for the title. He moved down to welterweight, and he's had some pretty good success there. But do you think this guy has a title run left in him? Or is he, to me, he's just one of those, he's not scary. He's not one of these guys that I would buy a pay-per-view to see, but he still kind of gets the job done.
Yeah, he finishes people.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a high submission rate, which I love seeing those guys. I love seeing him pull off, you know, the
and he did stuff that you don't normally see.
Right.
You know, not a quote-unquote boring rear naked chokers. I mean, he did some creative submissions on guys.
Yeah, don't judge him by the last fight with Jake Shields. I would rather watch grass grow than watch Jake Shields fight.
He is horrible!
I
don't understand how he still stays at the top of the division.
Man, I remember him from probably 12 years ago. He fought on a Hook and Shoot sister show in Chicago, and it was a 15-minute fight, which seemed like 75 minutes.
Yeah.
And it has never changed.
It does, yes.
But don't judge Maia by that. You know, he went the distance with a guy who's known to go the distance, but he also finishes people and will pull off the crazy submissions. But MacDonald is a heavy hitter. I see Maia taking some severe punishment, and this.
All right, so having said all that, your pick for this fight then?
Decision to MacDonald.
Decision to MacDonald. That's a I wouldn't be surprised at all to see it go the distance. I think if Rory comes out and fights like the Rory of old, I could see, you know, some ground and pound. I don't ground and pound because you get Damian on his back. He's willing. He's liable to pull off a submission even from his back.
Right.
But I can see even maybe a ref stoppage in the second round. So just to be different, that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say TKO Rory MacDonald in the second round. And Jeffrey over here has a decision going to Rory Aries MacDonald. What a horrible nickname. Aries. All right, let's move on to the co-main event of the night. Daniel Cormier versus this guy, Patrick Cummins, this guy who trained with Daniel when Daniel was getting ready to go wrestle in the Olympics.
Right.
This guy, we've never heard of him in the UFC. He's 4-0 with his record, but it's his first fight in the UFC. What do you think? Do you know enough about this guy to even have an opinion?
You know, Brent, I got my cheat sheet here.
I do too. It's all right. Ain't no shame in that game.
You know, they're calling it you know, he's taking the fight on short notice. I admire him for that, but he is literally beating 4 turds. I mean, I call them turd fighters.
Guys I've never heard of, and I've heard of. You've heard of more guys than me, so if you're calling them turds, I think that's saying something.
So he's defeated a whole pile. You know, Cormier was the captain of the 2008 Olympic team. Apparently, there's a story going around that Cummins, when they were training, beat him so bad that
broke him, made him cry.
Made him cry.
And Daniel rebutted that by saying, "Look, I just lost my daughter. I had some personal issues going on. Of course, you're going to be somewhat emotional." And DC, I mean, this dude, he's fought and beaten Frank Mir, Antonio Silva, Roy Nelson, Josh Barnett, some game opponents.
Anybody who can, you know, if you beat Bigfoot, that's saying something. If you beat Josh Barnett, that's saying a lot more. Barnett's been around probably 15 years plus, and he's still young. I mean, I feel that Josh Barnett's hitting your athletic prime in your mid-30s. Plus, this is a weight class down.
Yeah, DC was always a small lightweight. I mean, coming at the bottom of the division, but still, it's a big weight cut for him, and it's kind of been a talking point. Do you think that's going to affect? You know, I have no doubt he's going to make weight. I mean, he's an Olympic caliber wrestler, but do you think that's going to affect his gas tank at all?
I think he looks better than he ever has before.
Yeah,
I mean,
he was always a little pudgy heavyweight, so you think, boy, if he could shed 20 pounds, he'd be kind of cut.
And it's for a heavyweight wrestler, man. Some of those guys cut 30+ pounds. I've heard some of them cut 40 pounds.
Yeah.
I don't see this fight being a problem for him.
No, I'm curious to see what the odds are. Obviously, DC's going to be the heavy favorite. I'll go ahead and pick first here. I don't want to just piggyback your prediction every time here, but I don't see Patrick taking DC down. DC has won his fights with his hands, so you know I could even see this not even making out of the first round.
Yeah,
I would like to see that, actually. I'd like to see DC win by a knockout in the first round.
I think he's going to get him to the ground, out-position him, and penetrate him with punches.
You can't say that and expect me not to get it.
Yeah. I do say other things, but I've been told that it's politically incorrect.
Oh, who cares about that? So, so your pick is what then?
Same as yours. I think it could go into the second round. Could, like you said, could end in the first round.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to dominate, outposition him, and punch him in the face and take out some of that previous, some of the comments he's made. I would punish the guy. I would not try to finish the guy if I were Cormier.
I think Patrick's trying to make a name for himself with all this talk. Maybe knowing I may not have another shot at this limelight, at this spotlight. And I think Daniel, like you said, he's going to take it out on this guy and show him the real deal.
Generally, UFC, if you take a fight on short notice on a week, they'll make sure you have another one. But this is not going to go good for him.
All right, so we're both in agreement that Daniel Cormier is going to whoop up on Patrick Cummins. Now to the main event and to one of the pioneers, the godfather of women's MMA. I don't think I'm using hyperbole here. You really are a pioneer when it comes to women's MMA. You've pushed for it as long as I've known you and as long as the hook and shoots have been around. And so to see a headlining fight between two women in the UFC is pretty cool. We know about Ronda Rousey. I think everybody knows about Ronda Rousey. Right. Can you tell us a little bit about her challenger?
Yeah, Sarah McMann's tough. She's also has a 7-0 record. Olympic athlete. I think this is the first time that two Olympic medalists have fought each other in MMA, and I don't think people are bringing that up. Yeah.
And if you see her, she's a scary looking chick too. I mean, she's in some shape.
She's in shape. A lot of these, to fight at that level, you have to be in some sort of shape. But Sarah McMann is a specimen. I
mean, like Misha, she's curvy and she's all right to look at. I saw some pictures of Sarah. I mean, she's like a linebacker.
Yeah, she'd probably be my wingman in a bar fight. Yeah, if I had a wing woman.
So she's got a 7-0 record. Ronda's got an 8-0 record. We know Ronda. All her wins have been by submission. Only one of them has made it, has gone not even the distance, into the third round. Right. So, I think Sarah's coming in ranked number 4 in the division. Does she have a chance to beat Ronda?
There's always a chance.
I mean, that's what they say. There's always a chance, but is it realistic to think it could happen?
That Olympic level of anything, if you go to the Olympics, you are something special. Yeah. And if there's one thing Sarah can do, it would be take Ronda down. Do you want to do that? I don't want to. I think
Misha kept doing it, and I kept wondering why you're just getting hip tossed all around the ring. Quit, separate and get some throw some punches. Do you think Sarah's going to try to keep it standing?
I would. I mean, if I'm any fighter, I'm going to try to knock Ronda Rousey out because she has not been tested. Yeah. She's now saying she's the best female striker in the world. Right. Good thing to say for marketing and to piss people off, but whether or not it's true, I would say probably not. I think there's better strikers out there, but it's complete package. I still firmly believe that Ronda Rousey's going to retire undefeated. I think she's going to retire very, very soon. Yeah, yeah.
So pick for this fight then.
It's Ronda by armbar. I hate to be cliche and pull the one-trick pony card.
But if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I look at her like a GPS-guided missile. You say, oh my God, here comes the armbar. I'm going to get out of the way. Bam, you're going to blow up.
What happened to my elbow? All right, so I agree. Submission, armbar. When do you think it's going to happen?
I'm going to say second round.
Second round, okay. I can go with that. I don't want to be different. I don't want to be different just to be different. But
I think McMahon's good enough to take her into later rounds too. That could possibly happen.
All right, so we're still rolling here. My battery's getting low here. So before we wrap up, Jeffrey, you are the man behind the hook and shoot, and we do have another event coming up. When?
Saturday, March 8th. It is a big one. There's way too many fights on it.
Super mega biggie size show.
Biggie sized. It is biggie sized.
Tell us about the card real quick.
Lots of new locals fighting. Marcus Hall's defending his title.
When's that dude gonna make it to the UFC?
He's on the verge. Does he want to? I believe so. Yeah. I believe he's doing the smart thing, not rushing it. Yeah. He's had one loss against a guy who he knocked out and annihilated. I'd love to see a rubber match in Evansville on our turf. Yeah. But he's on the verge. You got Ruben Perez, who was You know, United States Army, unbelievable role model for kids and adults, defending, or actually taking on a guy from Princeton for the 125 title. Ruben's the 135 champ.
Oh, he's dropping down.
He's annihilate. He's like a Ronda Rousey. You know the armbar is coming, and he gets you every time.
Yeah. So that is Saturday, March 8th at the Coliseum. Tickets are on sale now at what? Showme's
and Fitness World.
Fitness World, and we'll have Jeff back here in a little while to talk on the radio more about this event. So thank you, Jeffrey, for coming in.
Thank you.
We'll do it again later. Those are our predictions, and follow along. Leave your own predictions. Tell us if we're stupid or crazy. Leave a comment with your thoughts on the fights this weekend, and then watch the fights on Saturday night and see how close we are to getting them right.